What's up and welcome back to another video. Kenny's Raw Thoughts. Let's get straight into it. Going to talk to you today about my switch to low volume training. All about training today, guys. Is this the most optimal way to train? Personally, I'm going to cut right to it and tell you I think so. I've tried basically every single kind of training style, tried so many different exercises. I've tried super high volume, medium volume, super low volume, all different kinds of rep ranges, all different kinds of intensifiers with drop sets, supersets, etc., etc. And I find that this training program that I've settled to is the most optimal way for me to train. With that said, it may not be the most optimal way for you to train, but give it a try and you never know, it might become the most optimal way for you to train. Now, this is under the caveat of me trying to build muscle and be the most jacked version of myself naturally. I also want to stay lean. I don't want to just be a meathead and just do weights, so I also want to build up my cardio and actually be healthy. I don't want to spend a ton of time in the gym, but I do prioritize the fact that this is my health and it does take time to improve. So I will, obviously be willing to spend time in the gym. And I want to get stronger too. I don't want to just be super jacked and be super weak, but then I don't want to just prioritize strength and not actually grow muscle. And then I want to stay free of injuries. I forget how many fingers that is, but I also want to stay relatively healthy, injury-free, pain-free. Like you heard that crack in my elbows. That's completely normal. I can crack my elbows anytime I want. But being free of pain, especially coming back from this lower back injury, this bulging disc, I've really come to appreciate the fact that being injury-free is just so massively important. And so I want to do all those things. So keep in mind that that's my goal. It's not like I'm in a sport. It's not like I'm trying to specifically be like a professional arm wrestler or a professional football player or soccer player, or specifically trying to powerlift. So depending on what you want to do, keep in mind your goals could be different. Therefore, your system might be different. But this is my system for those things. So not like I haven't done this before, this low volume style of training with higher intensity, but I'm back to the lower volume style of training with high intensity. Kind of a few reasons that I'm on this, like I was saying before, but just to reiterate, one, it saves time massively. If you're on some massive high volume training program, you got to realize that that takes time out of your day. And if you can't do that program, do you feel so demotivated, the fact that you can't complete the full perfect routine, so then you end up just skipping? So then would you end up being way more consistent and get more overall volume at the end of say like a month with shorter workouts because you don't miss them as much? Something to think about actually. There could be some method behind that thought. Number two, this is a massive one. I didn't really mention it in when I was listing my reasons, but this allows for way better recovery. Like you're actually able to recover in between workouts much better. And as a result, you're actually able to build strength, build muscle, like optimally, I would say, limit injuries. And it's really huge because I'm doing this while trying to stay lean. Too much output and you will start to decline over time due to lack of calories. Now, if you have a ton of calories, it's a completely different ball game, but it still will catch up to you if you do too much volume. But if you want to stay lean naturally, guys, I'm telling you, eventually, because of the low calories, things are going to catch up to you and you cannot do too much volume. Another point is that I want to focus on other aspects of being healthy too, such as cardio, like I mentioned, and stretching. So I'm just reiterating what I said before. Basically, I think of it as if you train too much, it eventually catches up to you. Either you decide to throw in a deload where you're decreasing your volume, or you end up getting injured. So either way, at some point or another, you're gonna need to do less volume. So would it make sense to just do less volume and just stack up those workouts over time? Because if you have to do a ton of volume, but then eventually you gotta take a step back, it's almost like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's like, why wouldn't you just take 1 step forward? Would that 1 step forward actually in a long period of time end up giving you better results than trying to do too much at once, then having to pull back anyways? Worth a thought. I always found that when I did too much volume, I'd always end up needing to reduce the volume because, again, either I was smart enough to do it because it would catch up to me and I would start losing strength. I wouldn't be progressing in making gains. And I wouldn't be able to push harder in my cardio sessions because I'd just be so drained, especially with trying to stay lean. Or I'd just get hurt. So personally, yeah, that's what it always comes down to. So I prefer nowadays just to take that small step forward and just try to add up those days and instead of trying to take those big steps forward and just end up taking steps backward because you're forced to, basically. And not to mention the fact that if you get injured, you have to deal with an injury, right? So that's not ideal. Personally, guys, I love working out. For me, it's hard to miss, but I know that I want to keep getting stronger. I don't want injuries and also need time to do cardio and stretch. So for me, it's not a problem getting these workouts done and even getting long workouts done. Now, granted, here and there, you're not going to be able to do super long workouts. But for me, if I can get in the gym that day, I will get in the gym that day and I will make sacrifices and do things or like get rid of things in that day that otherwise would get in the way of me going to the gym just so I can go to the gym. Like, this is very much so, I'm at the point where I've been lifting for consistently since I was I think 18, and even before that, before I was 18, but I didn't have a gym to go to, so I would only be consistent, say, when we had like fitness class, and I would do some workouts at home, but nothing seriously with the weights until I was like 18, went off to university, and then I started using the gym, like I said, consistently year round. And so it's been over a decade of consistent training, and even more than that, like up to a decade and a half of just training in general. So I'm at the point now where this is very much so a part of my lifestyle, and this is very much so a part of me. So it's not hard for me to go and get a workout, so keep that in mind. Which actually plays into the lower volume workouts. If it's something that you're trying to get used to, the best thing to do is to do less and then become more the type of person that hits the gym. And then if you wanted to switch to a higher volume workout and a longer workout and more workouts, because that's just the way you want to train for a little bit, let's say you want to experiment, then now that you're the person that can actually show up for workouts, now you can show up for more workouts. Whereas if you're trying to go from 0 to 100, it's going to be harder to be consistent, and then you might fall off and end up never becoming a gym person. So this could work in a lot of good ways. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not being lazy. I love hitting the gym. This is just what I think is actually the best training program. I also, with that said, I like that I'm not spending so much time in the gym anymore, and I'm able to crush so much stuff outside of the gym because I am getting my master's right now, guys, and it requires a lot of work. So to be able to spend extra time doing that and then also have some extra time to spend with myself or like family is really huge for me. So with that said, I'm trying to focus on doing 4 to 6 working sets per muscle group per week. I'm usually training each muscle group 1 time per week. It ends up being 4 days of weight training in the gym, and then those off days are cardio days, and then I can take the 7th day as an off day, or I can do cardio, or I can do less cardio. So basically, the 4 weight training days is basically a good 45 minutes of pushing the weights. Pretty short workouts, which is pretty incredible because you're only doing 4 to 6 working sets per muscle group. Then I'm doing about 20 minutes of cardio at the end, and then about 10 minutes of stretching at the end, 5 to 10 minutes. I find that I'm way more hyped for training since I don't feel like I'm burnt out with the weights. The cardio days, guys, I do 45 minutes roughly, give or take. I started with a little bit less until I got accustomed to doing cardio consistently, and then I upped it to 45 minutes. If you're not used to doing cardio, mentally and physically, doing too much at once is just not a good idea. It's hard to recover. You're gonna get injured. You're probably gonna get discouraged and fall off. So the best thing to do is to start small and do a little bit rather than nothing. At the beginning of my cardio days, I was only doing 20 to 30 minutes. And then on the weight training days, I was doing like 10 to 15 minutes after the workouts. So add things on slowly. And I'm not necessarily telling you guys so much to follow these time constraints. What I'm more saying is the 4 days of weight training per week, and then do cardio on the off days. You can do them at home. You can go for a walk outside, so it doesn't have to be gym related. You can go out and do something active with friends, or you can go to the gym and do cardio. So whatever you want to do, but do cardio on those off days. The key is just not to lift weights, let your body rest. And the timing is up to you. And the other thing that should be followed is the 4 to 6 working sets per muscle group per week. If you do those 4 weight workouts, the 4 to 6 working sets, and you do those cardio days on the off days, like I said, start with what time you can handle and increase as you go. But you're gonna find that obviously you can't spend a ton of time in the gym because you're only doing 4 to 6 working sets anyways. So as far as like how you group your workouts, what exercises you do, how long it takes you to warm up, if you prefer to get into your working sets quicker, if you do more drop sets versus actual full rest sets, which I'll get into in a second. I like doing drop sets and rest pauses to get the workout done quicker. The timing of your workouts as a result will vary based off of those different intensifiers and those different techniques if you use them. But just follow that skeleton. What's crazy to me is I'm sore after the workouts, and for some muscle groups, I'm even more sore than ever with way less volume. Like I noticed that my lats especially, they never used to get sore, even with an incredibly high volume, but now they're actually getting sore. And I don't really know what it is. I think I'm just recovering better in between workouts, so then I'm able to push a little bit heavier each week, and maybe mentally I'm able to push harder and get a few extra reps or get better connection with my muscles. But I've noticed like everything is getting just as sore as it would. So it's not like I'm feeling like I'm doing less and I'm getting less gains. Like if anything, I'm getting the same results, if not better. What's even crazier is I've been losing weight and I've actually been gaining strength, almost like I'm bulking. Which is insane. This is massive, because that's going to help you gain muscle while you're cutting, and if not gain muscle, at least maintain your muscle. I do think you can gain muscle while you're cutting, because I think anytime you break down the muscle and you build it back up, you're going to build some muscle. If you're in a huge deficit, no, it's probably not going to happen, because first of all, you're not really going to build strength, so therefore you're not really going to build muscle. And breaking down the muscle, you're going to have just enough nutrients to basically build it back up, and you might even lose a little bit of muscle. But if you have enough calories because your deficit's not too big, I do think that if you're gaining strength, that's probably a good sign that you can build muscle. And I've noticed it. I feel like I've noticed it. Of course, it's a little bit hard to fully say, because when you lose weight, you start to look bigger, so you're not too sure if you've gotten bigger or if you've just gotten leaner so you look bigger. But that's a huge plus. I haven't been able to do that when I do high volume. So I do think it is better for me. You know, I think that some science videos have shown that this is a good amount of volume, the 4 to 6 working sets per week for the muscle groups. And I'm really just giving it a try. I've been doing it now for I think a couple months, and I really do think that I'm gonna stick with it. As far as like how the training goes, the key is to work up to like a top set. Then usually what I do is a bunch of drop sets or rest pauses. Rest pauses are basically the same thing as drop sets, but you're gonna rest for a little bit longer. So drop set is immediately going into it. Rest pause is more like taking a 15 to 30 second rest, then getting into it. So it's not like a full rest in between sets like how you would take like 2 to 3 minutes, but it's allowing you to recuperate a bit more strength, catch your breath a little bit, maybe gain your grip strength again, because I find if I get 2 back-to-back into certain exercises, even for pressing movements, because you're gripping the dumbbell so hard, I find that my grip strength is starting to go. So even just some 30 seconds just to get my hand strength again. Yeah, honestly guys, you're getting that strength with the heavy top set, so you're always trying to PR if you can for that workout, or just giving your best effort. And you're also pushing yourself with a fast-paced workout with the drop sets and rest pauses. Your cardio is going to improve quite a bit with these drop sets, just trust me. Overall, I'm warming up fairly quickly to the top set, then I'm off to the races with the drop sets or the rest pauses. This is to incorporate getting my heart rate up even with the weights, not just cardio. I go to failure or slightly beyond by doing other intensifiers like partials for the top set and then each set after. So for it to count as a working set, the 4 to 6, it has to be to failure. And you don't go to failure until you do your top set, because otherwise you'll weaken yourself and not be able to do as heavy as you could have gone for the top set, which obviously, you know, that makes sense, right? Yeah, guys, it's a good amount of intensity and stimulation, because you don't need to annihilate. You're gonna love the saying. I'm sure you've heard it. You gotta go in the gym and stimulate your muscles, not annihilate them. And it's enough to do that for growth. And at the same time, you're gonna get stronger. You can do this typically in 1 to 2 exercises, or even 1 if you want to. For something like chest, if you want to do 2 to 3 sets on an incline and then do something like flat or decline even, it gives you the ability to do that. Or you can do 1 press and 1 fly. If that seems like not enough variety, you can switch your exercises every week, but trust me, it's enough. And if anything, you want to stick to a couple of main exercises, or even 1 for a muscle group, and just try to get mad strong in it, and then switch to another, do the same thing, and then keep switching like that. It's easier to track progress. You develop like that neural pattern of getting used to that movement, and you can really just focus on getting like ballistically strong on that. Yeah, the fact that I'm still getting sore, like I was mentioning before, I'm progressing with strength, and then eventually hopefully just maintaining strength once the diet gets really, really tough, which it's about to. Because if you guys don't know, I'm on day 75 hard, and I've actually just completed, after today will be 40 days. So watch my channel for an update on that. I'll tell you guys honestly how it's going. But yeah, this tells me that it's working, guys. I'm excited to keep it going and monitor progress, but this is a big change that I've made somewhat recently. And like I said, I've done it in the past, but then I've experimented with different things, but now I've come back to this and realized that this is probably the way to go. I'm really big on injury prevention now, so that all ties into the lower volume kind of training. And just because I say high intensity, don't get it twisted, I am using good form and controlling the weight. I believe in having a strong concentric, so that's where your muscles like contracting. So for a back movement, that's when you pull it towards you. For a pressing movement, that's when you press it away from you. And then controlling the negative. But I don't go super slow and I don't go super fast. So I tend to go faster for the positive and a little bit slower relative to the positive. For the positive, I try to go pretty quick, and then relative to the positive, the negative, I go slower, but I don't go snail pace. I've tried that before and I don't like training like that. If you like training like that, go for it. But I just control the weight. So I control the weight down, I control the weight up. I'm not just going like insane and just tossing it up. The key is you want to pick a good pace with the ratio of thinking about 2 times the amount of time on the negative relative to the positive. And you want to control the weight, and you do that by making the muscle move the weight. So if you're thinking to use your chest, and you're thinking to use your chest when you're doing your pressing movements, same goes for your back, same goes for your legs. When you're squatting down, you're not just dropping the weight, you're letting your legs lower the weight. Like I said, you don't have to go super, super slow, but think of making your muscles do the work. So it's high intensity with good form. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? And it's heavy weight, but it's not heavy weight with bad form. And it's not heavy weight, it's the heaviest weight that you can do with good form and controlling the weight. So your tempo, everybody, don't get too hung up on it, but your tempo is always gonna look a little bit different. For example, like a chest press, I might be like this. And then sometimes I might go slower, sometimes I might go a bit faster, whatever. But I'm always trying to think lowering the weight with my muscles, not just dropping the weight, not just letting the weight come down without thinking of like resisting it. So I'm resisting it because I'm in control of where the weights is going with my muscle, but I'm trying to go as heavy as I can with that good form. So just keep that in mind. You can call that mind-muscle connection if you want to, but you're trying to get stronger, but you're trying to get stronger the correct way. It's not all about the weights, right? But I'm not a hippie either, and I don't just train super, super light. And I don't think you have to go super slow and go, like how Mike Israetel says that you have to go so low and so slow and touch and then go up and then go so slow. I tried that style of training, and while it was refreshing to try, and at the time, it was really fun actually, because like it was nothing that I've ever done before, and you're training your muscles in a different way and potentially strengthening up different muscle fibers and creating a slightly different look maybe. But at the end of the day, I don't really like training like that. But there's nothing wrong with training like that, guys, if you want to, but just know that that doesn't necessarily matter. It's all about control. You can go much quicker than that and still control the weight, but you don't want to go too quick, because going too quick, there gets to a point where you can't really like actually control the weights with your muscles, and it becomes more like momentum. So whatever go by feel. It's better to go lighter and go slower. You're still going to hit failure. It's better to go lighter and get a feel for things first, especially if you're a beginner. But once you know if you're lowering the weight and lifting the weights with your actual muscles, then you can decide what tempo you like the most for you to actually enjoy your flipping plan, because it's about enjoying your plan, guys. You can't do something that you're not going to enjoy because you're not going to be consistent with it. And what's the whole point in doing a workout plan that you don't enjoy? It literally makes no sense. I love working out, and I'm going to do what I like. I'm going to pick exercises that I like. Granted, I don't want to be I don't want to be lame and just train upper body. Like, I'm going to train everything balanced, but I'm going to pick exercises that I like. And you better well believe that I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to do whatever reps and training style that I like, because I can do whatever I want. I don't have to do what science suggests is the best or whatever. I'm going to do whatever I want. I like training the way I like training. Be smart, and make the most of your workouts and be safe. And it is meant for it to be fun. And that's it. Just do what you like, be consistent, give your best effort. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do stuff just because, science tells me this and this and this. And then later it comes out that science goes like, oh, we didn't account for this. And actually we were wrong. And what you were doing before was actually right. So, just use common sense is what I'm trying to say. Where am I in my notes here, guys? Oh yeah, I'm just kind of continuing here. Just after I talked about, I'm really excited about continuing with this. I'm really big on injury prevention, making a big recovery from my lower back injury. I'm big on health too, and I want to keep lean, and I want to do consistent cardio, because the cardio helps you stay lean, and it also builds up your cardiovascular endurance, so your overall health. And then that cardio is going to help you when you do those drop sets. Trust me. You don't want to gas on the drop sets such that you can't hit muscular failure. So you got to make sure you do cardio so you can actually train like this, because when you get stronger and stronger, you're going to use way more oxygen to do those sets. So basically, like, without getting too nerdy about it, you're going to be breathing much heavier when you're going to failure once you're stronger. So having a better cardiovascular system is going to help you to hit failure with your muscle in the weights, so that you can make the best gains and you're not ending the set because you're out of breath versus actually hitting muscular failure. And the other thing is a better cardiovascular system. We're talking pumping blood throughout your body. If that's more efficient, then you can give your body nutrients quicker and eliminate waste quicker. That means you can not only recover, think about it, between workouts quicker, but during workouts quicker. You can gain your strength back and recover and replenish your ATP stores quicker in between workouts and during workouts. You can be stronger from set to set relative to if you had a weaker cardiovascular system. I'm not saying you're going to continue to get stronger after each set, but if you didn't have as good of a cardiovascular system, your drop sets, you would probably need to drop the weights more than if you had a better pumping mechanism, aka your heart, and you were able to metabolize things and replenish your ATP quicker. So you could actually probably make better muscular gains having a better cardiovascular system. You can recover in between workouts quicker and continue to progress strength, which obviously over time would make you gain way more muscle and avoid injuries. Cardio is much more important than you think, so do not skip it. I'm telling you. And what I was trying to say, guys, all this stuff catches up to you if you're lifting too much, so you got to work smart. That's with staying injury-free, trying to also improve your cardio, staying lean, getting stronger. It's going to catch up to you. Low volume, high intensity. With that said, guys, there's a lot going on outside of the gym in my life. So with that said, I love going short and sweet. It seems like the best thing for me. And like I said before, it makes me more hyped for these workouts because I'm not doing so much weight workouts, that I really look forward to my training sessions. And it's really just a really good positive cycle. There's very few downsides to the side of training, honestly. here's a good way to think of it, guys. There's like a maximum amount of results you can get in the day with weight training in terms of building strength and muscle, especially when you start adding in all the other factors, like I said before, like staying lean, staying injury-free, improving your cardiovascular endurance. So the key is to basically reach that amount, which it's not as much as you think. It's not spending 2 hours in the gym. It's just a good effort, and you cap out what you can maximize as far as cardio and weights for the day. With some, I know people are going to be like, oh, there's so much room, so much like improvement that you can make for a day. Yes, maybe in technique in certain sports, and maybe cardio, because cardio is a bit different. But you got to keep in mind, when you throw in all the other factors, like you're not a professional athlete. Like I have other things to do in my life. I have calorie restrictions. I want to stay lean. I want to stay injury free. Like when you add in all these things, you pretty much do have a cap for how much you can improve in a day. So the key is just to get that maximum that you can do per workout and then per week as you add up all the workouts. And then it's just about basically never missing or being as consistent as possible. So if you can max out all those, like in a day you can only do this much, so you just max it out and that's it, you're done. But the next day, it refreshes, you can do this much. So you do it again, you just try to max out every single day. And it's really about the person who's the most consistent that will make the best results. That makes sense too, because if you think about it, you can't spend 4 hours in the gym and just get the most jacked. Otherwise, to get the most jacked, it would be the person that spent the most time in the gym. But it does not work like that, and you guys know that. It's amazing. You don't have to spend all day in the gym, and basically if you put in the work, nobody can shortcut and beat you. So that's kind of like a nice thing. It's really not about that. It's about beating yourself. But the hard work is not built overnight, unless you use steroids. But we're all natty over here, man. Nothing against people that use steroids, but we all natty over here, man. So yeah, nobody can shortcut those results, including yourself. So just try not to miss. Just try to be as consistent as possible. And if you miss, try to do a little bit. But if you have to completely miss, then so what? You know what? Get it the next time you can get it. I'm also excited, guys, because I've made some supplementation changes. Supplements. To optimize my natural testosterone. Go watch that video. I posted a video about it. It's either a short or a full length video. I talk about lifestyle improvements that you should prioritize to maximize your natural testosterone, and then the supplements that I'm using to maximize my natty test. And I think that's actually helped me with the strength gain while cutting, especially since I added in creatine, and I've now been consistent with creatine for just over a month, and it takes about a month to saturate it in your muscles. So it could be that, but it's crazy how I'm doing that while getting leaner. It's about intensity, it's about volume, which is actually lower than you think, volume that is. Intensity, keep it nice and good to a failure. If you want to go beyond failure by doing partials, feel free. You don't have to do that every set though. Yeah, so like I said before, guys, just to recap, 4 weight workouts per week, 2 to 3 days of cardio. With those weight workouts, I'm doing about 45 minutes of weightlifting and then about 20 minutes of cardio at the end of each weight day. But on the cardio days, about 45 minutes. I try to do that one rest day if I can, but it doesn't always happen. So I'll either do less cardio or just not go as intense, whatever. And then typically I try to take, one weight workout has to be, or 2 weight workouts end up having to be back to back, but I typically will space out my weight workouts with cardio days just to give myself extra rest. And yeah, like I don't mind being active on that 7th day because it's just an extra cardio that I'm doing. And like I said before, lower intensity for the same amount of time or just less time or whatever. You get the point. It's not really like stressing about it too much. Doing a little bit of extra cardio, whether it's in the gym or outside of the gym, instead of taking a full rest day, is not gonna hinder me. If anything, it's probably better. It's fine to be active every day. You don't want to lift weights every day, in my opinion. I think that's gonna catch up to you. But doing the cardio on the extra days, I don't think that's a big deal. But listen to your body. If you need to do less cardio or push the intensity down a little bit, like lower the intensity, so you can recover, so your legs can recover, so that you can push it hard for the next week, or so that you can have a good leg workout that's coming up. You know, just kind of be smart, listen to your body. The other thing that I do want to mention is basically the last thing is, and I've said this so many times in my videos, guys, if I can't show up for the full scheduled workout, even though these are shorter workouts, like say I can't even do 4 working sets for a muscle group, or I can only do 30 minutes of cardio instead of 45 minutes, I just make sure to show up. I did this the other day. I did 20 minutes of cardio instead of the 45 minutes because I couldn't make it because I had a long day. I was out of town. I had to drive for almost 5 hours in total. I had a bunch of schoolwork to do, and I just could not do the 45 minutes. I had a bunch of work to do, and I wanted to get to bed early, but I still did 20 minutes because I also had to stretch and do all my other stuff. I did 20 minutes. I was like, I'm gonna show up. So still make some improvement if you can, rather than not. If you cannot though at all, so what? If you know honestly, truthfully to yourself that you can't show up that day, you know, just move on. You're gonna live. It's a real reason to not show up. It's not an excuse. That's fine. You're gonna live to see another day. So that's gonna happen, and that's life. But if you can show up a little bit rather than not show up at all. That's pretty much it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this talk. This is my switch back to low volume training. I think it's the most optimal way to train. This is how I'm going to be training for the next little while. If it changes, I'll let you guys know if you're interested. Let me know how you guys train. If you train this way, what are your thoughts on, you know, low volume, high intensity, whatever, anything to do with training. Just let me guys know what your thoughts are in the comments. And I've been doing this for a couple months now. Like I said, done it in the past. I think it's the way to go. So give it a try, guys. And I hope it works out for you. I'll see you in another Kenny's Raw Thoughts. Take care. Peace.